Hey guys, Larry from Be Yourself Adventures. About a year ago, we were over at Goldfield and we were talking about, the Superstition Mountains, everything else. Well, guess what? We're back. And there's the Superstition Mountains right over here. A lot of history when it comes to Superstition Mountains. I talked about before about the Circle Rocks and the Native Americans, the Apaches. This gives you kind of a general idea of like the Circle Rocks, how they were just formed and used as ceremonial practices by the Apaches and the other Native Americans around here. So I'm inviting you guys to join us. We're going to check out the museum and walk around, check out the church where Elvis was in the movie Charo back in the day. The church and also the barn that we'll be also checking out were the only two that didn't burn down in Apache land. And I'm telling you, the history of that studio was incredible. All the old westerns. So today is March. It's March. That's all I have to say. My birthday's coming up on Sunday, so we're looking at today's the 14th. That's it. I'll say March 14th. All right, guys. Always be yourself. Peace. Okay, back in the day, this church right here was used in the movie Charo with Elvis Presley. And like I mentioned before, it's one of the original movie studio buildings that did not burn down. So we're going to go check it out and see what's inside. All right. There's the king of rock and roll right there. And if you look at all the posters on the wall, these are the movies that were filmed over in Apache land. So when you guys come out to the Superstition Museum, please check out this church. Again, this was the only surviving building. Actually, there's two surviving buildings. Like I mentioned before, the barn and this church. Again, was used in the film Charo. And there's the king himself. So let's go continue on and check out what else this museum and area has. Always be yourself. All right, so we're going to walk the footsteps of the outlaws, the cowboys, and the American Native Indians from the Apaches, who were some tough bunch of people. So look, right now we're going to go check out the barn. It says Apache land. It was the only other building besides the church that survived from that great studio. All right, let's go see what this barn has to offer. So back in the day, I don't know if you guys are familiar with blacksmith, but they were a pivotal and essential tool back in the late 1800s, especially when it came to a lot of the cowboys and the cattle and the ranches. So they would make a lot of the horseshoes for the horses and a lot of the branding irons for the cattle. So they put their trademark right on the hide of the cattle, so they know that's there for for their belonging, for their ranch. And so this is kind of a setup like the blacksmiths would have. If you think about Back to the Future 3, Doc Brown, Emmett Brown, was set up as the old blacksmith. So, all right, guys, if you're ever out here in Arizona, do not hesitate to come check out this museum. I met some of these actors, and if you see like Mike Robbins, besides being a great singer, he also did some acting. Robert Preston, Slim Pickens. I mean, Denver Pyle was in a TV series called Grizzly Adams. Linda Evans and Kenny Rogers, they did a movie out in Sedona. Dale Robinson, I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman right here. Unfortunately, he has passed on. But if you look, all the great Western actors back in the day. Audie Murphy, incredible. I mean, Wayne Rogers was also in a TV series, MASH. So yeah, you think about it, there's a lot of talent back in the day. To talk about how cool it would have been to see these movies filmed back in the day, these westerns, these true iconic westerns. So at least some of this is still kept alive here in Arizona, especially out here in Superstition Mountains. So, all right, guys, we're gonna check out more of the museum. Let's go. Oh my gosh, check this out. Got Slim Pickens, but this gentleman is from Arizona. Is Rex Allen. Rex Allen was one of the most iconic singing cowboys in the Old West. Besides him, you had Gene Autry and Roy Rogers, but Rex Allen was one of my favorite Western cowboys. Okay, Ron Nix is a very, very, very close friend of mine. He built a Western studio out here in Arizona called Cowtown. Here's a picture of Ron Nix right here. We have been friends for a very, very long time. And he was involved with Elvis's movies, with John Wayne movies, a great stuntman. So this is a great tribute to Ron Nix. Has his footprints. And again, all the talent. This is great. There's a picture up here with Ron Nix. Yeah, we've been good friends and still are good friends. Pat Larkin, who's another gentleman who I know. And he's had a lot of involvement with the old movies. And here's a picture of Pat right here. Great stuntman. Guys, check this out. This is a little modeled train that goes around this whole track. As you can see the train up here coming. And it's an old steam engine. And these buildings represent how the Old West was back in the day. Little Spanish mission. And it's got the saloon. It's just incredible. And even got the jail. What a great setup. Again, a great tribute to the Old West. Listen to the sound of the old train. Is this great or what? Can you imagine being back in that era of the cowboys? Here comes another train up here. all around on steam and cold. And now that's loneliness. Actually, that was a little quote from the miniseries Centennial with David Jansen, Merle Haggard, and Andy Griffin. So if you guys never had a chance, check that out. It's called Centennial. And it kind of depicts about the Old West and the different generations of families. Pretty cool. All right, let's go see what else is around here. Okay, the grandeur of the Superstition Mountains. I mean, check out the beauty of these mountains and the mystery and details. If these mountains could talk, usually if these walls can talk, if these mountains can talk and tell you the struggles and the pain throughout time, would just be breathtaking. So, if you're ever out here in Arizona, come check out, well, always be yourself. Check out the Superstition Mountains. And if you decide to hike it, please be very, very careful and stay on the trail. Bring plenty of water. Do not, and I'm telling you, this is just kind of a word of caution. Do not hike the Superstitions during the summertime. Okay, that is the worst thing you want to do. But if you just want to come out to enjoy the splendor of the beauty of the mountains, come out here and you could just see them right here. And you can feel the presence of the old lost Dutchman himself coming out of there with his mule and his bags full of gold. That's what his story was when he, on his deathbed, and he told some people that, you know, he drew a map or what have you. So again, to this day, nobody has found the gold. And myself, I would never dare to venture to try to find it, even though I am an adventurer. I have hiked it, but no, I wouldn't do it. So, but check out the museum. It's a lot of fun. All right, always be yourself. All right, so we're going to check out the museum. This is really cool. It's going to cost you a little bit to go in here, but see right here, it talks about the ancestral lands and going back in the day, I mean, a long time ago. And we're talking about the Hohokam and, you know, the Tejano Desert, you know, they call it the Tejano people. And we're looking about over 900 years ago. And this kind of gives you a little graphical information about it. So this is pretty cool. Let's go continue on and look what else. And the Spaniards had a lot to do with Arizona. The conquistadors. And this talk about the superstition mystery. Let's see what this says. A number of years ago, a well-known treasure hunter and underwater archaeologist presented this conquistador type body armor, helmet and sword and stirrup to the museum, having found them in a nearby cave. Spanish records of the exploration are well documented, but no military expeditions are noted in the superstitions, making this soldier armor a mystery. This is a huge mystery to see something like this, that the Spaniards were in the Superstition Mountains, so you know there was gold there. So, and there's the sword itself. I mean, literally, this is found in those mountains. I mean, I've seen some strange things when I hiked the Superstition Mountains. And then, of course, you got the cavalry. Back in the day, you got the Apaches. You got Geronimo, you got Cochise. And Fort McDowell, we're not talking about the casino either. We're talking about the Native Americans. I mean, there were so many different types of tribes here in Arizona. The Pima, the Yavapai, the Hopi, the Apache. There's just so many. Now let's go check out the minerals from this area. A lot of quartz and geodes. You got the quartz crystals up in the Mogollon Rim. There's an area that you can find. It's called Diamond Point. These crystals all over the ground. I mean, you used to be able to find them. I don't know how much more. You got the petrified wood. You got a lot of the copper. You got azurite. You got right here. This is from Morenci. So a lot of people see azurite. Say, oh, that's copper. No, it's not copper. And then over here is the Apache Tears. If you go, east of the Superstition Mountains by Superior, you can find a lot of the Apache Tears on the ground. There's a story to that. I'll put a link about the Apache Tears down below. And I got the poor roadrunner. My favorite bird, period, besides the seagull. All right, let's continue. I mean, look at this. Look at all these minerals. I mean, also you got turquoise, you got silver, you got gold, you got the copper. All here in Arizona. All this in Arizona, all these different types of minerals. So you know it's called basically a gem state, a mineral state per se. Let's continue on. Now, this is about Jacob Waltz, the Lost Dutchman. How cool is it? There's one of the copies of the treasure map, supposedly kind of telling you where to go to find the mine for the gold. I mean, there was gold. I said Jacob Waltz was born in 1808, died in 1891. And to this day, again, nobody's really found the gold. Some say they did, but I don't know. That's all speculation, to be honest with you. But he was from Germany. He was a German immigrant. Jacob Waltz was. He wasn't originally from Arizona. I mean, back in the day, I mean, basically the only people in Arizona was the Native Americans. And of course, you got the famous Weaver's Needle, kind of one of the iconic landmarks, kind of pointing the way to the gold. And it's kind of the collector's storage. This is pretty cool. An old piano back in the late 1800s. This stuff is great. Oh, check this out. A little spike was found in a rock. Wow. Here, if you can look at that, if you guys want to pause and read that, that's pretty interesting. Boulder Canyon. Wow. But yeah, to get into a museum, it goes to a non-profit organization. So please try to help them out. Look at this. How cool is this? Reminds me of the old Remington. You know, my grandfather had some Remington figurines. Talk about stuff for the cattle, the horses. Look at this canteen. It's been shot up a few times. Let's go check out the rifles. The old Hermit. How cool is that? These are great. And a Native American bow and arrow. Wow. Man, how cool is that? I'm going to show you guys. These are the rifles from the 1800s. These are real. And if you look over here, you'll see the bow and arrow. These are actual items. And down here is a little boot gun. If you look down here, kind of where they had the gun in their little boot. It's like a one shot. And a Colt. Talk about how cool is that. And the bayonet that they used basically around the Civil War time period. Now, you guys, this is so important. This is so important. I can't tell you how important this is. My grandmother had one of these. Let's check it out. It is an iron. Believe it or not, this is an iron. What they would do, they would heat this up. I mean, as hot as they can make it. And then they would use it just to iron the clothes. So I have one of these at home. I don't use it, but I have one of those. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. The good old days. And check out the Old West, how the women would dress back in the day. Very proper, very elegant. And my great grandmother, actually my great grandmother had one of these. I'm dating myself too far back. Great grandmother had one of these types of stoves. And I remember it when I was really little. And she made the best pies. They're incredible. And that was basically on my my grandfather's side of the family, the Cherokee side of the family. All right, let's go. Look at this. You're thinking, what's this old raggedy thing? It's Hacksaw Tom. Used it to put over his head. And I basically, let's see, between 1905 and 1915, he reported a bandit was robbing wagons and stagecoaches on the Apache Trail. A steep grade at the Fish Creek reduced vehicles to a crawl, and he could easily ambush travelers. He was nicknamed Hacksaw Tom by the drivers that he held up. And that's kind of his little hood that he put over his head. Wow. Just incredible to actually see stuff like this here. So this is the museum. Okay, now we're talking more about Superstition Mountains. These are these are pretty much replicas of the stones that they found that kind of give you the mysteries of the map of the Superstition Mountain where supposedly the gold is hidden, the mine or what have you. So it says right here, the stories of the stones and what they represent are varied as the legends of the Lost Dutchman mine itself. Two of the more popular versions of the stone maps were discovered. They were dug up in Travis Tomlinson, I'm probably butchering that, in 1949 in Queen Creek Bridge. So they weren't even by the Superstition Mountains. They were way out in Queen Creek. It's quite a ways from Superstition Mountains, but these are called the Parata stone maps, and kind of gives it says 1847, kind of the idea where the Lost Dutchman gold is located, and nobody still has been able to find it. As we continue on the tour of this museum, if you check out these are a lot of representative maps of what they call treasure maps. And the old saying, X marks the spot. Right here. See? They say X never marks the spot. But right there it does. I mean, these are all treasure maps of different areas, different locations. And how cool is this? This one, 1844. Incredible. The Peralta. That's the trail I hiked down. It was called the Peralta Trail. And look at this map here, how cool that is. Kind of reminds me of the celestial stars in the sky that almost kind of say, you know, this was a moment in the sky where they pinpointed this. I don't know, there's different theories. That's kind of a unique one I just came up with. But yeah, this is great. These are all treasures. Actually, I'll take that back. These aren't different areas. These are all treasure maps of the lost mine. So, incredible. All right, guys, let's continue on. All right, guys, it's going to do it for Be Yourself Adventures. If you guys like this video, there's going to be a lot more. Also, if you haven't, subscribe and become a member of Be Yourself Adventures. And we'll see you on the trail. Always be yourself. Peace.